Meanwhile, Bangalore developers are facing a new challenge. On 4th May 2016, the National Green Tribunal quashed environmental clearances of two well-known developers in Bengaluru, Mantri Tech Zone and Core Mind Software Services developed by Salarpuria Group. Now, both these developers were also slapped with penalties. The directives were issued on the back of a petition filed by the Nama Bengaluru Foundation. The National Green Tribunal or NGT has now redefined buffer zones for areas around lakes and feeder canals. According to the revised definition, no construction activity will be allowed within 75 meters around a lake. The earlier stipulated buffer zone was merely 30 meters. This has upset the plans of several developers who have already started construction or bought land or got approvals based on the earlier buffer zones. So let's find out how this really impacts the Bangalore's realty market. Rahul Sabharwal, COO, VBHC is with us, and also Sridhar Pavisetti, CEO, Nama Bengaluru Foundation. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Pavisetti, it's been a big win for the environment activists, and of course, Nama Bengaluru Foundation has been doing phenomenal work of protecting the ecosystem of that city. But tell us, I mean, did you in some ways think that the judgment was probably a big slap to developers who'd already got approvals under the earlier laws?
Well, not really. I think there is a slight distinction in what we were trying to achieve. Our focus was on trying to figure out what is the law stipulation and what are the violations that are being done by various developers. Even in this case, the fines have been imposed not for anything else other the fines have been for violative of the conditions laid out by various agencies. Only for those things the fine has been imposed. Okay. If these two developers had not violated any bit of the conditions that was laid out by the various agencies to them, they wouldn't have been fined. How can a court of law fine anybody if you have followed the rules? So that is a distinction that has to be made.
Are you saying that they actually
yes.
Did not follow the 30 meters buffer zone? What were the violations? Could you just outline those for us?
For instance, one of the proponent had actually encroached 3.25 acres of a lake land that belonged to the Bengaluru lake. Yeah. And built and started dumping debris and soil around it. The second violation was that they started construction even before they started filling up this Rajakalwe and the lakeland even before they had got the requisite clearances. There are multiple other violations, but predominantly these are the two key things, right? Okay. So the judgment clearly said that there has been a breakdown in the way of the conditions that were laid down and what is being followed by these developers, and hence the penalty has been imposed.
All right, fair enough.
And secondly, the important thing is that,
go ahead.
I'll just finish one more thing. When it comes to the buffer zone increase, the increase has only been made because when you look at the Rajakalwe or the primary drain that brings water to the lake, the buffer was higher than the lake boundary itself. And the NGT has attempted to set right this internal contradiction that was there, where the drain had a 50-meter buffer, but the lake itself had a 30-meter buffer. And hence the increase has been made to 75 meters.
Okay, so now that would cover both the lake and the drains, isn't it? So 75 meters, make sure
for the lake, 75 meters is around the lake. And for the primary Rajakalwe, it's 50 meters from the center of the Rajakalwe. Okay. From the edge of the Rajakalwe.
All right.
Earlier it was from the center of the Rajakalwe.
Fair enough. I think that
it's just that sustainability has been brought back into focus, given the kind of unsustainable development that's been happening around India in major cities.
All right. Frankly, I've seen that Bengaluru lake and I wonder who wants to live around it. I mean, the pollution levels in that lake are just unbelievable. It's frothy and foamy, and I mean, really, it just looks pretty, but it's full of noxious gases and water. Yeah. Rahul Sabharwal, so I hear two conflicting views from developers. There is a bunch of developers who obviously says that it's good to have clarity on rules, norms, but then there is a whole set of developers who says that, look, you've changed the rules of the game, and then some of us who bought land thinking that we could build in the 30-meter zone are now in a fix. What do we do? So what side would you take, and what argument do you think is fair?
So, hi Manisha. So, I think our view is this is one of another knee-jerk reactions with the government. we need to have a sustained, comprehensive policy which will enable all developers to be able to to be able to plan, number one. Number two, there should be a cutoff date that we should take, and probably because of investments. See, land investment is one of the largest investments that any developer makes, and typically the time required from the time you acquire land and then you launch a project is minimum 2 to 3 years in most cities, if not more. If suddenly there will be knee-jerk reactions by the government and policies will be changed, it would not be fair on developers. Probably another way to do it would be to provide clarity and also give a time period for developers to be in compliance of the law. And put a cutoff date saying beyond this date it would not be allowed, but before this date you have to grandfather historical issues, and rather than just saying on a particular date that today this is not allowed. So I think it's a failure of our comprehensive master plan development in the country. It is a failure of our system, whereby we've not been able to, where we are doing knee-jerk reactions to this. Tomorrow it could be something else which will again have a knee-jerk reaction. So as a developer, you're always in a worrisome state whether you will be able to develop a parcel of land or not. There are multiple laws and conflicting laws which are at crossroads already in existence. Adding a couple more to that always becomes very, very difficult for developers to do any sustainable development in the long run.
I get both these arguments, and that's the reason why I'm having this discussion. There are absolute reasons to protect those lakes. I mean, really, there was a time 10 years ago that those lakes looked completely healthy, and in 10 years they've actually started looking sick. But Mr. Pabisetti, I mean, I also get the developer's point of view. Land is a huge, huge investment, and they've already sunk in their monies based on the earlier norms, and now things have changed. Why is it? And this was actually the 30-meter zone was as per the revised master plan of 2015, isn't it? So what happens now?
Absolutely.
I mean, they've gone according to a master plan. Who do you blame, and who really bears the brunt, the financial and the stress brunt of this whole thing?
Absolutely. I mean, this judgment is a little difficult judgment for us to reconcile all the various challenges that exist in the process of urbanization, and hence I think one good thing the judgment has done is that it's prospective and not retrospective. So any constructions, any approvals already granted will not be in trouble. Any new environmental clearances that are being sought, or any approvals that are being sought, are the ones which are going to be impacted. So at least to that extent, there is a clear demarcation of saying, there is no going back and rewriting the past law, right? And Rahul also brought up a very interesting point wherein he said that the comprehensive development plan process itself has been flawed, and the RMP itself had this flaw wherein for just the feeder channel they had a 50 meter buffer, but just around the lake there was a 30-meter buffer, and that's an inconsistency that has been set right in this. But yes, fair point in trying to say what happens to those builders who are sunk in their money and all that stuff. I'm sure that kind of clarity will emerge out of these judgments as we go forward, and how the agencies are looking at these issues, and they can seek clarifications as well. But most importantly, I would just like to highlight the fact that the times that we are in, all cities have gone through this enormous stress of unplanned growth, and sustainable development is the only way in which even the people who will end up buying your apartment will be able to enjoy it, right? I mean, it's not just a one-time thing that these large builders are interested to do. It's a lifetime investment that many people make, and for that you need to be extremely cautious. And as you rightly said, Manisha, who would want to be near Bengaluru Lake, given that how many of us have contributed to this deterioration, and as a city we owe responsibility to our lakes and water bodies. And if you just remember the Chennai floods, where of course nature did half the damage, the other damage was done by unplanned construction and growth.
Absolutely.
And I think we should be extremely cautious that Bangalore gets 900 millimeter of rain through the monsoon months, and some rains can be really heavy. Just last night there was a 100 millimeter downpour in many areas, right? And the water gets dissipated or gets out of Bangalore only through these Raj Kalways and the lakes.
Right.
So it's not just a tree hugging bunch of people who are just going and saying we are hugging the lakes. We are saying that Bangalore is getting to a critical phase where you have flooding, the urban flooding that happens today. Bangalore was never flooding earlier in the past. The lake system was used to take care of discharging this water outwards of Bengaluru. And today we have got in a situation where huge office complexes, apartment complexes get flooded whenever a huge rain comes.
Absolutely.
So there is something wrong here, and I think if we need a surgery, let's get that surgery. It's going to be painful, but let's not put band-aids, right? And I think that is a awakening call that we have today, and I understand the challenge that many builders, many of them who are bona fide developers. They should definitely not get hurt, and I think we are all for conserving the future investments into the country, right? I mean,
absolutely.
A level playing field, a fair field without kings.
I agree. I mean, everything that you're saying resonates with all of us. There's really nothing that you're saying which shouldn't be happening. I'm just saying, really, the pain is now looking that it's very, very harsh on the developers, at least some of them who've bought land earlier. And I agree that, Rahul, is there a way out of this mess? I mean, developers who've already bought the land based on the earlier plan, and 2015 is actually not that old a master plan really to have not bought based on that. So what's the way forward? I mean, everything that Sridhar is saying is bang on, but how do you resolve this now crisis? Because I can see that in a stressed market, this has really added so much more stress to Bangalore developers.
True. No, absolutely agree with Sridhar what he said on sustainable development. I think it is the duty of every developer in the country to really make sure that we are compliant with the laws, we are following the laws. Now the challenge, what we just talked is the law itself is changed in such a knee-jerk reaction. So I think the one view could be that for developers who will stick to the old policy of 30 meters and who have already got some level of plan sanctioning done, are allowed to construct and the grandfathering of the policy happens so that they do not run into a financial loss. The second way to take care of this could be where the setbacks now have to be 75 meters instead of 30 meters or 50 meters. What could happen is for those projects where the land parcel are lesser. See, in a larger land parcel, you really wouldn't feel the pain because the green buffer zone can come around that area.
Right.
So you really don't have a problem. But if it's a smaller land parcel, you could probably allot an additional FSI for these smaller parcels of land for the developer to go higher than what is allowed, so that they can get compensated and financially they do not run into a loss, whereas the sanctity of the order is also maintained. So I think the government will really need to do some thinking in order to be able to help the developers also, because currently the way this policy seems to be coming out is that the financial brunt will be only borne by the developers, and that will eventually get passed on maybe to the consumer, which is not the right way, because eventually it's the end customer who's going to pay for something which may not which may not be sustainable. But that also is not a possibility. So it is the share of the loss would be between the consumer and the developer, because there is only a finite amount of money that you can charge in a particular area. So I think that could be a midway, where you've got building plan sanction done, already construction is underway, it is allowed and grandfathered and ensured that the 30-meter setback and there is no violation at all. That is very, very imperative. The second way is when people have a parcel of land already available that they've bought, there is some additional FSI or some where you want to enforce the law.
Right.
There has to be another way for the developer to be able to get compensated for the 40 or 45 meters extra setback that they have to leave.
Actually, Rahul, it seems like solutions are possible. I mean, you can protect just extra FSI itself. You can protect the developer's interest, and I'm just hoping that with discussions such as this, that even gentlemen who are fighting from Nama Bengaluru's side, also all of you align together. I mean, that's a beautiful city, and I really wish it all the best. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming across on the show today and presenting both sides of the story to us and our viewers.